And now let's just get this Instagram feed up. And we are good to go. I am Coach James. I am the creator of and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, which is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including but not limited to friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic energy, elastic force. All of those science topics we cover after we have gone over the topics, after we've learned the science and we've conducted experiments to drive home those concepts. Then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything that they have learned in the class. After they have selected their cars, they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured, they check the materials the car is made from. Everything that they can observe, they take down and they note in a spreadsheet. And once they've done that, they've made all their observations, they've learned the science. The only thing left to do is set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip. We do that. The students do that. And then we have a tournament, race the cars. The students get to observe how their cars performed. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select that same car again? Or would they make a different choice based on everything they observed? In the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars and we learn science. What could be better? If you would like more information about All About Aerodynamics, our science program, and how to bring it to your school or your organization or your special event, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, and all the information you need is there. Or you can follow us on Instagram, also Aerodynamics, and all the information is in the link in the bio, and I would be happy to give you more information about everything that All About Aerodynamics has to offer. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about Aerodynamics presents Wind Tunnel Wednesdays. So with Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, we have the opportunity to test one of the forces that is working against the cars when they are traveling down the track, and it works against any object when it's moving through the air, which is drag. And we have a 1/64th scale wind tunnel, the Funtech Labs Windsible, and we're able to take Hot Wheels cars, some Matchbox cars, put them into the Windsible, turn it on, see how the air flows over, under, and around the cars, and it gives us some indication about how drag will impact the car when it comes time to race. Well, when is it time to race? It is time to race every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific on YouTube and Twitch with AtTheTrack.live, where I introduce new cars into that fleet of cars that I mentioned that I bring in for the students to use. I bring in new cars, introduce those, I get my picture, I do a little review, get a video, and then since we already have the cars and the track is already set up, it's like peanut butter and jelly. You got to just put it together. So we race the cars, and we have a little mini tournament every week. But wait, there's more. You have the opportunity to participate because all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live. Once you do that, you will have 3 options. One's the YouTube stream link, one's the Twitch stream link, but the third link is the most important link. That is the link that says, choose your car. If you go to that link, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet are numbered, listed, pictured, cataloged, and ready to be selected. But you might be saying, selected for what? Well, I mentioned that I am introducing new cars into the fleet, but then you have the opportunity to pick a car you think would be faster than the cars that I'm introducing. So if you're scrolling through and you're taking a look at all the cars we have, some from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s, and some that are hot off the shelf within the last few weeks, and you see a car that you think, yeah, I think that car would be faster than all the other cars that everybody else picked, and all the cars that Coach James introduced, then all you have to do is take the number of that car. Let's say, for some reason, Let's say you think it is this one, this 35 Classic Caddy. I don't know why you would think that, but hey, I'm not you. Maybe you decided this is the car. You can click on it. You can take a look at the picture. You can see from the reflection if it is a plastic body on a metal base, a metal body on a plastic base, sometimes metal on metal for some of the older cars. This one looks like it may be a little bit of metal on metal with some plastic trim. But if this is the car that you want, this old 35 Caddy, a car that I had when I was a kid back in the 80s, it must have been a gift given to me, because I can't imagine that I would have gone into the store and been like, hey, you know what I want? I want that 35 Caddy. But nevertheless, here it is. And if that's the car that you think will be faster than the other cars that we have selected, all you have to do is take the number, in this case 122, you drop it into the chat. I will see the car, I will pull the car, and on Saturday, we'll race the car. Today, if you pick a car and I pull the car, we are going to put it into the wind tunnel and take a look at the aerodynamic profile and see if we can get an idea about how this car is likely to perform on the track. And we do this with most of our cars. If they perform very well on the track, we want to put them into the wind tunnel and see why exactly that is. If what we can determine. If a car performs particularly poorly, we also want to put the car into the wind tunnel, because there are three forces that are working against the forward momentum of the car, and that is drag, that is friction, and that is gravity. And of those, drag is the most significant, because the faster an object moves through the air, the more drag has an impact. And therefore, this wind tunnel helps us to kind of get an idea. It's not always perfect. It's it gives us a pretty good idea. But with some of the cars, especially the fantasy cars, the designs are so wild, and there's so many parts and pieces and unusual curves and twists on the car that we're not necessarily going to get a sort of definitive, clear answer by putting the car in the wind tunnel. But for most cars, especially the cars that are designed traditionally, the wind tunnel does give us information, and does typically, what we see in the wind tunnel does usually correlate to the car's performance on the track. We kind of see certain types of cars perform better than others, and they have certain aerodynamic properties in common. But all you have to do, like I said, go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose your car option. You'll be taken to this page, scroll through, and we currently have 962 cars for you to choose from. We are moving closer and closer to the 1,000th car. And hey, Virgo, how you doing? We're moving, hey, Phil, we are moving closer to our 1,000th car. And when we get there, I want to have a special car. I mean, that's a lot of cars. I mean, I know that there are people with much bigger collections and all of that. That's not the point. The point is that 1,000 is one of those milestone numbers, and I'm trying to figure out which car should be our 1,000th car. We've got some time. It will probably take until, let's see, if we add in, we usually add in about 5 cars a week. So you figure 20 cars a month. So sometime around the beginning of 2026, we should hit that number. With the holidays, there's going to be some race days that we might miss. But for the most part, we should be sometime early in January around that 1,000 car number. And I want to have a special car for that 1,000th car. I don't know what it is. So if you have a suggestion, I would be happy to listen to that and take it into consideration. And the 1,000th car, I would be willing to pay. Most of these cars are just mainline cars that I pick up either in the grocery store, or Target, or at the Hot Wheels swap meet they have out here. And I'm looking for that special car. I don't know what it is right now. But whichever car comes out on top on Saturday, and whichever car you may select, and we have some viewer-picked cars that we're going to put into the wind tunnel, whichever car comes out today is going to be racing against our fastest in fleet car. And our fastest in fleet car is the car that has won the tournament the previous week. And this week we have a brand new fastest in fleet car. It is this one. It is the Super Stinger. It is a car that was picked by the Hot Wheels whisperer, Never Ending, who has now seems to have a knack for picking, not only just picking unusual cars, that anybody can pick an unusual car, but he picks these unusual cars that end up winning races. And not only winning races, winning the tournament. Not only winning the tournament, knocking off our fastest in fleet cars. And that's what he did again. He'd done it before with the Dogfighter. And I believe there was another car he had a while back. But he picked this one, the Super Stinger. And I didn't think or expect much of this because our this past Saturday we had a huge tournament. We had a Halloween themed thing, we had user picks, we had Halloween cars, we had new cars to the fleet. So there were in total about 13, 14, maybe 15 different cars that we were racing. This was not the car that I thought anything of. And once we finished up that tournament, it not only won the tournament, but then it went up against that Batman Arkham Asylum Batmobile, which had been champion for about 2 weeks, knocked it off, and here we are. The Super Stinger is our new fastest in fleet champion. So any car you pick will end up going up against the Super Stinger and trying to beat that out. So because this is the first week that the Super Stinger is our fastest in fleet car, and because the fastest in fleet car always goes into the wind tunnel first, we're about to put the Super Stinger into the wind tunnel and take a look at the aerodynamic profile, because there's something about this car that allowed it to become our fastest in fleet car. And if we're going to say what I've already said, that drag is the most important force that these cars need to deal with, then the car that's going to beat the Super Stinger is probably going to have a similar or better aerodynamic profile. So we're going to take a look at the Super Stinger in the wind tunnel. Let's get over here. Hey, Roughshod, how you doing? I've got your cars lined up as well. Your potential cars to knock off Never Ending Super Stinger. And with Never Ending, he picks cars that are unusual, and it doesn't always work out, because he's picked a tank. He's picked a I think he was also one of the people who picked the Turbo Rooster. He has picked what was the other one? The Dogfighter, which is still the car that I can least explain how it did what it did on the track. But now that we've had kind of this big shakeup the last few weeks, I think all the cars are back in the game. There are cars that had been picked and basically had raced in the past. Cars from about number 450 roughly, all the way up to 900 and whatever the number is we're at now, 952. Those cars had already raced, but now that they'd raced and lost, but now it's a new day. We've got a new champion. It's a new day. Yes, it is. Here we go with the Super Stinger. Let's drop this in here and see what happens. We'll see that air come flowing in, and we can see right there sort of the path that the air takes. That's kind of my favorite part. of this that I've come to kind of like is right when we turn on the wind tunnel, and let me push this up to about 67 miles per hour. Right when we turn on the wind tunnel, as soon as the smoke streams come into focus, you can see the path that the air is taking over the car. And as we turn this up, I've mentioned this in the past, we're still getting this leak of air into the wind tunnel. We have 5 streams. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And right around 3, we're just getting smoke kind of leaking in and kind of obscuring the view. But as I turn this up, it gets a little more clear, a little more defined. And we're up to 107 miles per hour. I'm going to turn this up a bit. And what we can see is this air, especially with that second stream, is coming in and hitting the super stinger right dead on the nose. And that air is then, some of it's going below, but some of it's coming up over the top right here. And this car there's a pretty sharp angle. It comes up to this kind of peak, and then it drops off. And what we're seeing with the airflow is that it's not necessarily pushing this up to 147 miles per hour. It's not necessarily following the lines of the body. So it's not coming up and then dropping back down. The airflow is detaching right around this area, and we can see this kind of faint gray line right there where this airflow, probably the third, is coming up and just kind of detaching right there. And even kind of looking below, like right in this area, it is not pushed the speed up, pushing it up to 174 miles per hour. And one thing is, once we turn the speed up, we get a little bit more definition with the 5 air streams, so that's good. But what we're seeing here is the airflow is detaching from following the lines of the body. And ideally, you want that detachment to happen as far back on the car as possible. When it happens in this area, there's a change of air pressure. So you get an area of lower pressure, an area of higher pressure here. And the pressure is trying to move from areas of high to low, so front to back. But that goes against the car's forward momentum. So that's not exactly what you want to see. But with this car, we were able to find a car that beat out our fastest in fleet champion, beat out the other cars it was facing. I'm also noticing that as the air that's flowing underneath, this car does kind of come up to a point. So you really kind of almost have a teardrop shape. Not exactly, but you can kind of see it here, where it kind of gets a little taller right here at this point, comes down, it's kind of rounded out in the front, comes back, and then this bottom is pulling up. So you do have a teardrop effect, or shape, kind of loosely, but that is the most aerodynamic shape there is. And so with this car, you can see some of the air pulling up along the bottom of the car. So that's interesting. We're up to 188 miles per hour. Gonna push this up, 201 miles per hour, and you can really see that this air is just, it's just separating from following the lines of the body. But there isn't anything back here to obstruct that, but it's just flowing straight across. Comes up to the top, flows across, and that is it. We have our new fastest in fleet car. It is the Super Stinger. The question is, how long will it remain our fastest in fleet car? I don't know. These last few weeks, cars have not been able to hold on to that title. We've had the Blitzspeeder was beaten. The Blitzspeeder had been champion again for a few weeks there. And the Blitzspeeder was beaten. And after the Blitzspeeder was beaten, it was beaten by the Mercedes-Benz 500E, which was pretty unusual just based on the shape of the car. And we had that car get knocked off by the Batmobile, the Batman Arkham Asylum Batmobile. That was a little less surprising than the BMW or the Mercedes. And then along came the Super Stinger and took it out. And yeah, we had that Tournament of Champions, and so yeah, we might have to have another one, because the last Tournament of Champions we had was for I believe our 100th episode of At the Track Live. Took all those cars and we took all the cars that had previously won a tournament, and some of the cars won before we even started calling it the fastest in fleet. But we had quite a few cars. So if you go back and check on our 100th episode, then we had all those cars racing, and the Blitzspeeder came out on top. There were some close races, but the Blitzspeeder came out on top and continued on as champion. And it looked like the Blitzspeeder was going to just stay champion, but hey, cars get beaten, and now it is this one, the Super Stinger. The Super Stinger is the car to beat, and we're going to find out if somebody can pick a car to beat it. And so I have, let's see, Roughshod has a couple of picks. This first one is interesting because it is, well, you'll see. We'll take a look at this. The no. This is the Split Vision. And everything about it is fairly traditional, except it's got this open cockpit here. And most of the time when cars have open cockpits, they're just open, or there's some kind of plastic windshield or canopy or something. This one just has these two rails that come up over the top, and there's also an opening there, and then just kind of lead to the back. If you take those rails off, this is pretty much, I can think of a handful of cars that we have in the fleet that kind of have a similar look and feel. And with this one, the real question is going to be what happens when the air comes up over the hood and enters this area, because it is open, and is that going to disrupt the airflow? I mean, it certainly is going to disrupt the airflow, but how much is it going to impact the car's performance? Because that air is going to come up, and we'll see it. It'll go into this area, and most likely it'll start to swirl around or get a little turbulent. We might even see some of the air passing up as it leaves this area, and it's kind of a question with this car and with any car with an open driver's area. So we are going to put this in the wind tunnel, take a look, because this is one of the cars that Roughshod is considering. And on the back end is got kind of a Lamborghini-ish kind of look to it there in the back. It's got these 2 points that would be pressing up against the launching block here and here. And it looks like it's a wide enough car that it should not have any issues bouncing around the track. This car is metal on metal, so all this white part is metal. The red is obviously plastic, but then we flip the car on the base, and the base is also metal. So metal on metal. Not sure what this car weighs. We'll check that out before the races on At the Track Live. But let's see what this car looks like in the wind tunnel and find out if this is going to be the one or if Roughshod is going to make a different selection. Get this thing lined up straight. Right about there. And we're good. I like the look of this car. Kind of a futuristic, it's like I don't know, some kind of Lamborghini. Like this back end, if you were to just look at the back end, like from there, pretty much Lamborghini. But then you add in this part, and this is complete, Hot Wheels fantasy cars. So, all right, I'm about to turn the smoke on, and like I said, just look for how it appears, because all of a sudden, it'll just appear. And when you see it, here it comes, you'll see how it's flowing, how the air is flowing. Right there, you can just see it when it comes into view. And as we turn the speed up, we'll get to see more specifics and more definition, but that initial view just shows us, boom, the path that the air is taking as it flows over. So this is, push this up to 67 miles per hour, our cruising speed. And right here in the front, it's got a bigger kind of frontal area than most cars, or not more than most cars. When I was comparing it to a Lamborghini, how Lamborghinis tend to come to more of a point than this car. And so you see the air kind of building up right there in the front as it hits the front of the car and has to go over, under, and around. Let's get the speed up, and that should clear out some of this kind of residual smoke. Pushing this up to 107 miles per hour, and we already see it moving back out of the way. And what we also see is that the air is flowing up. It's hitting the front end, coming up over the hood, and just like we thought, it's getting into this driver's cockpit area, and then it's kind of got this kind of like almost like rooster tail up out of that area to the back. And you can even see here, this line coming here all of a sudden starts to go up as it kind of runs in, as this stream runs into this kind of turbulent air that's coming up out of that driver's cockpit area. Let's push this up and see if we can get better look. Up to 134 miles per hour. And you can just see that the air is flowing here, getting right where this air from the second stream is coming up. Then it's bumping into this air from the third stream, hitting here, coming up, bumping into this air from the fourth stream, and you can see the flow. It's just like this, up and over, up and over. And the thing is that, yes, the air should be following the body of the car, but because of the design of this car, up top there's no structure really other than those two rails for the air to follow and kind of adhere to. So see if see anything different up here. Not really. Yeah, see that car comes, the air is flowing kind of right through the middle, right through the center. So it does enter into that driver's cockpit area. Let's push the speed up to 147. And you can just see, the airflow right there, hitting in the front, coming up over the top, and there's nothing for it to connect to. So it just breaks away, and right here, you can see it. Coming up, right there. Are there openings in the hood? I think so. They are, but they're not. Like there's holes, but there's plastic right underneath them, so the air isn't going down beneath the body of the car or beneath that upper level, like into the hood area. At least they look to be. When I pull it out, I'll double check. Um, push this speed up, 161, and you can just see it right there. It's very clear. That air is hitting right there and then coming up over the top, and there's nothing for it to kind of adhere to. It just hits there, flows up into the air, and you can see it right here. Just follow that line right there, and you can see all this kind of turbulent air. It's something that we didn't see so much with the Super Stinger. And if we go back to like the Blitz Speeder, which was one of the better examples of a car with a great aerodynamic profile, we didn't tend to see this much turbulent air. But this car is hitting there, coming up over the top. We'll go up to 174, which is where we are right now. And yeah, this is a great example of why this Windsible, why I like it so much, even with its little kind of quirks and issues, because we're seeing exactly, visually, we're seeing what happens. These cars have to push through the air, and our launcher fires them out with a lot of force. That air is working against the car. It's trying to slow these cars down. And any car that can reduce the impact of drag is going to maintain its speed longer on our track and going to do better. And we see right here, that air is just hitting here, flying up over the top. The air is turbulent, and that's what we're getting. So this is the split, what did we call it? The split vision. And hey, Christopher, hey, never ending. Okay, nice. Putting up the Christmas items. It's getting to be that time of year. We're right there. And we were talking about you earlier and how you're now the official Hot Wheels whisperer, and somehow you can pull out the most bizarre cars, and next thing we know, they're our fastest in fleet title holders. And we took a look at the Super Stinger earlier, and that car definitely had a unique aerodynamic profile. We've taken a look at the split vision, and now we're going to look at the other car that Roughshod is considering. And this next car is right out of the out of the never-ending playbook, because this is absolutely an unusual pick. No, Christopher, I've got your cards. I haven't put them in yet. They'll come up next. This one, the Piranha Terror. And this is absolutely one of the most bizarre cars that we have in the fleet. What to say about this? It is the Piranha Terror. And aerodynamically, we're gonna take a look at it. That front end, and just to before I get to that, rough shot. So here, so there are openings in the hood, but there's plastic right underneath there, so they're not. So the air isn't necessarily going to go down into the car below the hood. This one, interesting, because where the mouth comes up, it does present an issue. So the air is going to hit right here in this point, and then some is going to go over, some is going to go under, and the air that goes under, we'll see if it does it kind of quickly and efficiently, or if it's just going to build up right here at the front, and we're going to see that sort of bright white smoke buildup that we see when cars have sort of large frontal areas. But then the question is, what happens when the air gets up here? Is it going to follow along the lines of this car and then just tail off kind of right here? Or is it going to tail off earlier here? it looks like, so this yellow part is metal and it's detached from the plastic red part, and trying to see if there are openings there. So there is a bit of a kind of gap there. Will air enter in here and then get caught up inside the car? It's a small area. It's not very big, but can that be a factor? I don't know. So let's go ahead and drop this one into the wind tunnel and take a look. I don't know about the weight. We'll pull the scale out just before they race, and it's one of the things I've kind of considered with the students, is that weight is significant, especially if there's a huge weight difference between two cars. And if they know the weight ahead of time, then that is that can be a factor in which cars they choose. But they have to weigh the cars, and that's part of, because also teaching them about measurements and weights and scale, like difference between grams and pounds and ounces, things like that. So usually weight is a mystery, and when we race here, it's kind of a mystery too. You won't know, like, you end up picking the car before you know the weight, even though knowing the weight would be very helpful. Just adds a little extra mysterious element to the whole process. All right, I'm about to turn on the wind tunnel, and again, I'm going to look for my favorite, most telling part is when the smoke first appears. What is the path? So here we're looking, and there we can see right up over the top as expected. And the first thing I'm going to look for, we're going to get up to 67 miles per hour, our cruising speed, and see whether or not, so we're already kind of seeing a little bit of this build up right here as the air finds its path, and it looks like it is pretty much following kind of the lines of the car. As we turn this up, we're going to see, and right here we're getting a little more air because with the shape of this, the mouth, that air is hitting the front, and when it goes down, it's coming down at an angle where it's basically running into the wheel stands. So, and then it has nowhere to go, so it's just kind of billowing out of the sides. But let's push the speed up to 107 miles per hour, see if we can clear out a little more of that visual clutter. And we're getting pretty clean lines as far as the airflow. Right in this area, right here, you can still kind of see that separation as this flows back. I wouldn't pay too much attention to this stream here because, again, the air's coming down and then it's running into the wheel stand and the tire, which is something we don't typically get to see because most of the cars don't have this extreme of an angle at the front. But let's go ahead and push this up a little bit more. Going up to 134 miles per hour, and we are now looking at pretty clean airflow with this one. I mean, it's coming in, this third one is what I'm looking at. It's coming in, hitting the kind of face front of the car and coming right up over the top. This fourth smoke stream is coming in right here, hitting the fin, splitting that, and then flowing off the back. And because this car is so short, even though we get a little bit of turbulence here, it's already off the car. So that's a pretty good sign. This back part, flat, it's going to be pressed up against that launching block. And let's push this up. We're up to 161. And I think seems roughshod seen enough. He's going with the Piranha, is it Piranha Terror? Something like that. Piranha Racer, Piranha something. I'll look at the bottom in just a minute, but yeah, this one's going to be pretty interesting, and reminds me a little bit of the, well, I guess not so much in looking at, I was going to say it reminds me of the Super Mario's, the Bullet Bill car that we raced a long time ago. And pushing this up to 174. Pretty solid aerodynamic profile on this one. I'm not worried about this kind of turbulent air so much at the back, but the fact that the airflow is following the lines of the body is exactly what we want to see. The Kawanda effect, explaining how moving fluid like air tends to follow a curved surface rather than follow a straight line. All right, let's see here. So this is the Piranha Terror. Yeah, that's right. This is that Bullet Bill car. I just happened to have it sitting here, so why not throw it in. This is from the Super Mario Brothers collection, and let's take a look and see what's going on with this Bullet Bill car. Is the air, I think this is pretty much, well, this is okay. So whatever, there's a lot of, well, let me push the speed up because there's a lot going on here. Give it a little more speed, push it back. I think what I'd expect to see is kind of a build up in the front, and then exactly what we kind of are seeing is that airflow just curving around the body. This car was pretty heavy. It's all metal, and it doesn't feel hollow. It feels solid. And that's at 107. Up to 147. Now, what we don't see are those clean lines of separation with the airflow. And I think, like, we see it right up to about here. That air is coming up over the top, and then it just sort of all blends together, gets a little turbulent, comes off the back. That is up to 174 miles per hour. And that is the Super Mario Brothers Bullet Bill car. Right there. Just threw that one in there. I don't remember if this one actually raced in one of our real races at the track. I think I was doing some testing for a video I was shooting, and I believe I had one of these. It crashed, and the axle got bent, and I had to buy another one. And because they were these character cars, it was expensive, or more expensive than the normal Hot Wheels car. And as a result, I decided not to put this one back out or put it into the fleet because the odds were too great that it was going to crash. And I liked the car, and didn't want to have to go buy yet another one, buy a third one. So the Bullet Bill car is just one of those exhibition cars that I use to try and make different points, but it's a cool little car. But let's take a look at one of the cars Christopher is considering. Speaking of character cars, this is one of a couple of Luke Skywalker Hot Wheels cars that are in the fleet. And this one is much more of a traditional car than the other one. The other one is based on the X-Wing fighter. This one is based around the helmet that the X-Wing pilots wear. And I like it. It's got all the little scuffs and scratches. Those are not things that I did. That's how this car came. Looks like it's seen a little bit of action, and I'll bring it closer. You can see this locked in there. You can see how the paint is is a little scuffed and marked up and imperfect, which is a good look. But that is not going to impact the car's aerodynamic profile. So when we're taking a look, we have so Christopher says he has the Luigi car. Is it the one where the Luigi figure is in the car and kind of sticking out, or is it just the car? Because I have two different the Mario Karts, and one is the Mario Kart, and then one's the Mario Kart with a Mario in it. So I'm just curious which of the Luigi cars you have. All right, so this one, pretty standard. I think we'll get a pretty regular aerodynamic profile out of this one. I expect that air to kind of build up at the front, because this front area it's a little big, but it's not so big. Let's go ahead and drop this into the wind tunnel and take a look. This Windsible, the Funtech Labs that makes the Windsible, they are in the process of final stages of manufacturing their 1/18th scale and 1/24th scale wind tunnels, which are massive, and they are also massively expensive, at least by my standards. They are about $600, and I don't know, but this one suits me just fine, and like I said, even with all the little kind of quirks, still like it. All right, we're gonna fire this up, and this is it's got a very kind of standard look, even in terms of the kind of car it is, but I think all those details and the colors and everything just really work. So let's see what happens when that smoke first appears. And we see right there the path that it's following. And what we did see when it first appeared was that it wasn't until about this point, as the roof starts to drop down, right around this point, that the airflow started to separate. But let's push it up to 67 miles per hour, which is our cruising speed, as it blows some of that clutter out of the way. And even at the low speeds, we see what happens. The air is hitting the front, and then it's coming up. Now, at a higher speed, will that narrow? Will that start to follow the lines of the body a little more? Let's see. Push this up to 107 miles per hour. And you can still, kind of like with that split vision, it's faint, but you can still see this air hitting here and coming up right on that arch right there. Like not flowing along the lines of the roof to the windshield to the roof. It's just hitting there and coming up. That's at 107 miles per hour. Let's push it up a bit. And we are up to 134 miles per hour. And I don't think there's, it's not bad. It's just yeah, pretty standard. Pretty standard. And let's go ahead and push this up to 161. That's, so we're still seeing the same thing, just not as just a little more clear. The air is hitting right here, hitting here, and it's still pulling up right in this area, kind of detaching. This third smoke stream is hitting right at the hood, smashing into the windshield, coming up over the top, and you see a little bit of definition right here, a little bit of separation, and then everything comes down just a little, and the separation's really occurring in this area, which is typical of most of the cars that we put in here. We see that separation back at the back end of the roof line, pushing this up to 174 miles per hour. Yeah, that Stormtrooper car, I don't know, I think the only time that's raced has been when we had our May the 4th Be With You races last May. Was it this, did it happen this May? I think it was last year, last May. And so that's in the YouTube. It's on YouTube under the live listings for At The Track Live, and you can see how that car performed. I don't remember. I think it was the Millennium Falcon car that won those races. I think that was the fastest of the Star Wars cars that we had. So we had that X-Wing, we had this one. There was a Yoda car, baby Yoda car, or a regular Yoda car that I don't think got to race because the Yoda ears stuck out too far and made the car too wide. So that was a bit of a problem, but otherwise, yeah, that car wasn't too bad. And then we have Christopher, the other car he's considering is this one, the Captain Marvel car. So clearly, Christopher's selections, possible potential selections this week, were in the character car area. So we've got this Captain Marvel car, which is low, it is wide, it is pretty sleek. It is so wide that I'm wondering, I'm pretty sure it fits into the launcher, but it is definitely, I can just look at it and tell that it's a wider car than what we're usually dealing with. Now, it does have a huge splitter right at the front, and that is not adjustable. Some of the cars we have the adjustable splitters. This is not one of those, but everything else about it suggests that we should see a pretty good flow of air over this car, and coming to this back with the wing right there at aligned right at the roof line. Pretty good. Flat back end, very good, positive sign. So all things point to this car possibly doing very well. Now, it is a character car. It's a little one of those more premium cars, sort of in between the kind of super premium cars and the mainline cars, because it does have plastic wheels. But it may be on the heavier side. It's a lot of metal I'm looking at. But let's go ahead and put it in the wind tunnel and see. Christopher says, what was going on with the smoke that was not part of the Windsible Wind Tunnel? Not exactly sure. If you mean on the inside, there's just smoke that seems to be kind of leaking out, and I don't know if something has gotten loose or what it is, but there's not too much you can do with the Windsible to adjust the smoke coming into the chamber or even being filtered out. There is a filter in this back part here. This back part slides out and you can put another filter in, but it's just the filter. This is basically what it looks like. This is the extra spare filter, and the last time I took the original filter out, I didn't see anything that made me think, when you take the air filter out of a car and you can kind of see how dirty it is. I didn't see anything like that, so I don't know. I think this is just a version 1.0, and I think there's just going to be some little quirky things that I'm just going to have to live with. That splitter is huge, but let's see where the air flows when it comes into view. And there we see. Okay, so that front area, that air is hitting, and you can already see it kind of like just hitting and arching up. Question is, as we turn the speed up, will that kind of die down, or will it just be a little more exaggerated? So we're at 67 miles per hour. That splitter is massive, and we're going to push this on up to 107 miles per hour, and to me that splitter seems to be creating just a big frontal area where this air is, instead of splitting off so that the air is traveling underneath the car, which some of it is, you just see this kind of bright white collection of the air as it has to figure out, all right, we're going over, under, around this car, and it's coming up over the top. Push the speed up to 134 miles per hour, and not really seeing what I expected. I expected to see a pretty clean airflow, especially from these first three right across, but that air is building up here, and then as it just streams up over the hood, it seems to just be disrupting the airflow. Right. Let's see. Oh, let me push this up. We're up to 161 miles per hour, and it's a similar thing. When we turn up the speed, everything that we saw at the low speeds is still there. It's still happening at the higher speeds. It's just much more exaggerated. So you can imagine that this car is going down the track and it's having to push this air out of the way. And now, see, one of the quirks of this thing, it just decided to shut off. But that's okay, because when I turn it back on, we'll get to see once again when the air comes on or becomes visible, the path that it takes over the car. There we go. And as we turn this back up, we're just going to see that start to increase. And it really is just, it's interesting, because with this car, I would think that it should be very fast, and I might have to check and see what these are going for, because just like the Rockin' Railer, I'll probably be able to find another one pretty cheap, because there was a modification on that one that I wanted to make and then race the cars and compare them. With this one, I would love to get another one and cut off that giant splitter and see if that made a difference. We're up to 174 miles per hour, And I mean, it may not make a difference at all, but that's the whole scientific approach of this thing, is to try and test different things out. I just would like to be able to conduct tests that don't cost me a lot of extra money. And I don't know what these cars, because I got this car a while back, and it was probably already a $4 car. And I don't know how popular, how many they made, or what. Maybe it's obscure, whatever. I don't know what it's going for, so I may not get another one and cut it up to experiment with, but you never know. But we see what this airflow is doing. Christopher is saying he's locked in with this one, so that's good, because we are going to find out what happens with this car on the track. And I'm gonna grab the launcher just to see, to make sure that this car fits. Because all of this experimentation, as I bring the speed back down on this one, Captain Marvel, all of this experimentation and all this discussion may be for nothing. This car is too wide to fit into the launcher, and that is altogether possible. Let's see. Got a launcher here, and this is the one that broke, that I have to, this piece here, right, that you can see kind of right there on the side right here, that part broke off, but we're going to see. Captain Marvel car, it does fit into the launcher. It just fits, and this is perfect, actually, because when a car fits this well, and there's not a lot of room one side or the other for the car to move to, that is a good sign, versus a car like, if we look at old Forky. Well, Forky was kind of wide, not too bad, not too bad. Give me a narrow car. How about this head shaker or whatever? Nope, this one's not too bad either. But you can see it can turn a little bit. It's a little worse when they get out on the track. Then they're able to have a little bit more play. Wider cars tend not to have as much side-to-side movement, because they're so wide that there just isn't enough room for them to do that. So narrower cars can turn, and when cars turn like this, that means they're going to hit one side of the track, bounce to the other side of the track, and repeat that that pattern all the way through the end of the track. And ultimately, it is not going to help the cars, because every time it hits the side like that, there's a little bit of friction between the wheels and the edge of the track, because the track comes up, a little bit of friction, bounces off, goes to the other side, a little bit of friction, and that friction is one of the forces that will work to slow down a car. Cars that can stay straight, reduce that side-to-side friction. This car feels heavy. We'll weigh it when it's time, before we race it, but it feels heavy. And this giant, take a look at this splitter, how big that thing is. If I can find another one at a reasonable price, I would get it, and I would just cut that thing right off, because I don't think it's helping. I don't think it's helping, and I don't even think it's necessary on this car. I understand it's probably more of a design element than an actual splitter on a real car, which is designed to direct airflow. But this is an interesting car. It kind of reminds me of a Corvette maybe like the C7s. I think that's what I'm thinking of. But nice wide car. It is a premium car, so it's heavy. And that weight may end up doing it in, but we will find out. So we have a couple of picks that have been locked in. We've got the Captain Marvel car. We have this one, the Piranha Terror. I'm very interested to see both of these cars race, and these are cars that I think the Captain Marvel car, I had a student pick that one, but otherwise, we get cars that sometimes just don't get picked. So that sounds good. Now, here's the thing. This Saturday, I will be out of town, so I won't be here to race the cars. So I was trying to think if I could do it earlier, but the week is just kind of jammed up, and we're already at Wednesday. So we will not be racing cars this Saturday, but the following Saturday we'll be back up. And as I mentioned, one of the things is that I'm taking suggestions for is which car should be the 1,000th car in the fleet. We are moving in that direction, and more or less at some point in January, we will be hitting our 1,000th car added to the fleet. And I kind of want to make it special or unique, but I don't have any idea right now. I do have a bin that has character cars in there. It's just a whole bunch of, anytime I buy a character car, I throw it in a different storage bin. And when I came across it, it's pretty much filled up. There's a lot of different cars in there, so I might look through there and see if I can find one. I just want to have something very unique for the 1,000th car. And like I said, I'm taking suggestions, but we've got a couple of months to get there. But in the meantime, we have our new fastest in fleet champion, never-ending Super Stinger, and who knows, this car may still be champion when we get to our 1,000th car. I don't know, but we've already got 2 contenders in the mix. I have a bunch of cars still that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, waiting to race. Some cool, maybe it would be a Matchbox car. That would be almost perfect if we could get a Matchbox car to actually do something. I still don't know what the issue is with the Matchbox cars. Do I have a She-Hulk car? I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look in the, like I said, I have a bin that's full of character cards and things like that. So I will check, and if I do have it, I will let you know. And who knows, maybe that could be the 1,000th car. But yeah, ideally, I'd like it to be maybe one of these old school cars that I had when I was a kid. But the problem is most all of these do not have, the axle is messed up. This was one of my favorites, the Hot Bird, which was that Trans Am, or the Firebird from basically the Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am. This one's cool, but axles are a little wobbly. I'll have to test it out and see. Maybe this could be it. I don't know. We'll get to that point. But yeah. So this is Wind Tunnel Wednesdays. We had a look at some cars, and we saw some very interesting aerodynamic profiles. We saw the aerodynamic profile of our new fastest in fleet car, the Super Stinger. The Captain Marvel car, I'm very curious. The width is good. That splitter is questionable. The weight, I don't know. The Piranha Terror, seems it had a great aerodynamic profile. Seems like it should be right in there. Question with that one is going to be the opposite. Is it going to be too light? Because we know that light cars are impacted by drag and tend to slow down at the back end of the track. Heavy cars, gravity gets them, and they start to slow down at the back end of the track. There is a sweet spot. We've had cars, though, beneath that. We've had cars above that in terms of weight that have done well. So it really is, there's not just one factor that's important and makes the difference. So if you can find that car, if you can pull off a never ending, and you can go into the list of cars and go into the fleet and pull out that gem, that car that's going to be the sleeper, the car that nobody was thinking about until it did what it did, then hey, you have the opportunity to become and find our fastest in fleet car. But for now, Never Ending holds that title with the Super Stinger, and we will see when that changes. So, we will be back here on Saturday. We'll be back here next Wednesday, and then next Saturday, the 15th, we'll be back racing Hot Wheels cars, and for All About Aerodynamics, for Wind Tunnel Wednesday, and for At the Track Live. I am Coach James, and until next time, I will see you at the races.